What's going on, y'all? It's Dr. Jamar Montgomery here with drjamarmontgomery.com. Trump played in everybody's face. He played in all of our faces. And more specifically, he played in everybody's face who voted for him to release the Epstein Files. Now, I never thought that he would actually release the Epstein Files to begin with, but it's just so interesting to see how so many people voted for Trump based upon him releasing the Epstein Files. And then all of a sudden today, they said that they're going to release the documents that they use for the grand jury indictment. And you get 500 pages of redacted pages, a whole page of nothing but just blacked out. I also think that it's funny that Don Bongino, the deputy secretary of the FBI, the deputy chief of the FBI, is resigning. I think that's very interesting. You're seeing people who believed in the president's agenda, who believed the president's promises, and based their entire careers, risked their careers as a result of it, only for the president to play in everybody's face and not deliver on a campaign promise. Now, I think it's particularly foolish for people to have voted for President Trump just to release the Epstein Files. That it does nothing for their pocketbook, it does nothing for their families, it does nothing for them in any considerable, measurable manner of releasing the Epstein Files. But to each their own, right? To each its own. Hey, if that's an important issue for you, by all means, go ahead and advocate for it. I think that it is, the exploitation and sex trafficking of children, of young women, of young boys, because we don't even talk about the sex trafficking of young boys, but the sex trafficking of children, the sex trafficking of vulnerable people is something that is very important. Unfortunately, it is not something that puts food on the tables of millions of Americans that are experiencing high rent prices, an affordability crisis in America. We used to call affordability crisis a recession or depression. We used to say that the rent is too damn high, that the groceries are too expensive, and the gas is too expensive. We used to say all those things. We used to say that they're playing in our faces. I don't know what kind of gaslighting that's going on here in America, where instead of calling it what it actually is, a recession and a depression, a stagflation, we call it an affordability crisis. No, it's can you afford? Can you afford to live? Can you afford to put gas in your car? Can you afford to put a roof over your head? Can you afford to have a savings? Can you afford a medical bill? Can you afford insurance? Can you afford all these things that we've been told are modern day necessities, at least here in America? America's been sold a bill of goods, or at least the American people have been sold a bill of goods that we actually need to return to the sender. What is that bill of goods? Bill of goods are Congress people who don't tell us that they're getting ready to make investments in companies that they regulate, where they get to become millionaires in office, where, hey, share the wealth, share the information. Here's the cool part. They're required to disclose any stocks that they buy, right? So there's a group of people who might have enough, quote unquote, disposable income to invest that money. There are people who are barely scraping by, and yet it's like sharing in the wealth of America. The crazy part about America is that America will allow you to be successful. America will fight you tooth and nail for you to be successful. But then once you're successful, you're pretty much protected. And America will put things in place to help keep you poor enough, provided enough that you can still be useful to the big corporate machine, but poor enough that you don't see a way out. It's just interesting. And it's crazy that economic issues is why a lot of people voted for Trump. And to see what's going on in the economy, the fact that Trump still blames the economy on Biden is interesting, because technically it takes anywhere from 9 to 18 months for policy for us to see the effects of policy. But in the case of like President Trump, when he utilized the tariffs, we saw the effects of it almost immediately. So it's just interesting to see that he won the election speaking to the economic issues of Americans, yet it seems like the only people who are really benefiting are those who are able to invest, aka people who are true capitalists. And what makes you a capitalist is the fact that your money makes money. The fact that your money is a proxy for labor, meaning that instead of you having to go and work, you make your money go and work. Your money is what creates more money. Your investments in stocks, your investment in bonds, and the returns that you get as a result of those investments makes you even more money, which allows you to invest even more. Whereas those of us that are in the working class, you have to trade your time, your energy, your talent for money. And that's why entrepreneurship is so respected here in America, is because now you're saying my efforts, my brain power, my ideas is worth this much. I can put my ideas out into the marketplace and the marketplace will tell me what my ideas are worth. And since I'm the one that's coming up with the ideas, the market tells me what my worth is to society. Living in a market-based economy, or quote unquote market-based economy, those are some of the axioms of it. So it's about finding the ideas that are beneficial to you, beneficial to your community, beneficial to America. For all of you that voted for Trump solely based upon the Epstein Files, I get it. He made a values decision, but Trump played in all of our faces. Not that I expected for him to release the files anyway. What I did expect is for the MLK and JFK files to be released, but I wasn't going to base my vote based on that. Heck no. No way. No way. No way, Jose. But yeah, Dr. Jamar Montgomery here. Y'all be blessed. Talk to y'all later.